And so instead of getting angry and everything, it's better to send them lots of support so they can make the best decision possible. Now, President Trump is under a lot of pressure, and he's made a lot of really good decisions, but we're not perfect, and sometimes he does make mistakes. But to send him the support he needs so that he can make good decisions for this country and humanity. But just remember, we are entering a new age, and Zora's right. We are Mother Earth herself is ascended, and we're just kind of trying to catch up right now. Of all the planets in this universe, can I bring Professor Einstein in? By the way, is that okay?
Oh, that would be so fantastic. Of course.
Yeah. No, I talk to Albert all the time. Let me bring him in.
Wonderful.
He's laughing. No, he's a friend of mine. He says, I thought you'd never ask. Well, I'm sorry. Okay.
We welcome him. We welcome him. Thank you.
No, they're kind of lining up on the other side. There's Albert Einstein, and then there's Mahatma Gandhi behind him. Nostradamus is there, but Nostradamus is busy. I don't like to bother him. He said he'd come on, though, for a brief time.
Okay.
Bobby Kennedy's here. Oh, there's a new one. Benjamin Franklin's there as well. Oh, okay.
Oh,
well, let's get back to Professor Einstein before I forget. First off, when you talk about Professor Einstein, please call. It's better. He said it's polite to call to say, like, you can use his first name's Albert Fine or Professor Einstein or Dr. Einstein. Just don't use just Einstein, because he said that's I mean, you usually don't call somebody by their last name. So I said, okay. Well, that's the first thing.
All right. Dr. Einstein.
The second thing, I'm asking him a question if I can share this. He said he can't. I can't. When he was a kid growing up, he used to, his nickname was called Brainy Boy. And what he loved to do, and the teachers always were exasperated with him, he said he'd love to sit in his classrooms and stare out the window and just daydream. And that imagination led to E = MC² in quantum physics and all his other wonderful discoveries. So the educational system today, he says it's, well, the term, I'm not going to say it on the air, but it starts with a C. Three more letters.
Yes.
And it doesn't help people use their imagination. It does rote memory, especially he really detests Common Core, which was an attempt by the cabal to bring down educational standards in the United States on with other third world countries. And instead of being a beacon of light to the world, we were pulled down. But he said that always he agrees totally with Zora about using your heart mind rather than your logical mind. He works a lot now in what's called fifth-dimensional and sixth-dimensional physics. There's a physicality to the fifth dimension and sixth and all the other dimensions that's just different from the third. It's each dimension has their own physicality. One of the projects two of the projects that he's been working on is first a spirit phone from this dimension into the fifth dimension, so that people would be able to eventually just pick up a phone and call your great-grandfather or call George Washington or Benjamin Franklin if they're not busy, or President Kennedy on the other side. He said that will be possible, and some people actually have started finding ways to do that. There's a lady, he said, in Brazil that started to do that. A good psychic can do that too. You simply go into meditative state and you go into the higher dimensions. Now, what's interesting, Professor Einstein's saying now, is that as the frequency of this planet rises and we shift from the third, then to fourth, and quickly into the fifth, all of us who are in the fifth should be able to contact spirits on the other side very easily, much more easier now than going from the third to the fifth. If you're in the same dimension, then it'll be much easier. He says there's tremendous technological breakthroughs which will be coming into existence during the next 5-10 years. It's going to be like a marvelous new age for humanity, especially when you when everyone's going to realize that we are in fact, all one. President Kennedy has popped back in now, and he wanted to tell you that the planet Earth, from his perspective, if you look at planet Earth now, there's bright pockets of bright white light all over the planet. There's dark areas too, but there's pockets of bright white light all over the planet. Eventually, those pockets will become, the entire planet will become one ball of bright white light. And that's happening very quickly. And it's going to be happening sooner than you think. But it's all up to our choices, too. We can accelerate this process, or we can slow it down. And he knows that we're all going to make the right decision. It's all a process of waking up and of realizing that we are, in fact, powerful spiritual beings, that this planet is destined to ascend into the higher dimensions. There's going to be challenges ahead of us, President Kennedy says. But just remember that we all have free will and free choice. We don't have to accept any negative people in our lives, and we don't. And the most important thing to realize is that we are all one. We all have that spark of the Supreme Being or the Creator within us. I have a line of other spirits waiting to talk, so I'm going to. How much time do I have, by the way, Jane? Do I have? I'm not sure. Do I have like a half hour, or how long do I talk? Hello, Jane, are you there?
Yes, Ted. I was just going to say, but maybe in about 10, 15 minutes we could go ahead and start with Q&A. I'm sure there are individuals here that probably have questions for you. Sure.
Okay, good. Let me meditate. I'm going to bring in Nostradamus. I'll see if he's often very busy, but I'll see if I can talk to him. Yeah, he's here. When I talk to him, the date, for some reason, it always goes to December of 1540. And he is sitting. Oh, he says that's a good time to talk to him. Yeah, he says he's got a couple of minutes. He's sitting in front of a large oak table, a dark oak or dark table. It's wood, and there's a fireplace behind him. It's all smoky and everything. And he's got a red burgundy cape on with a red burgundy hat on. And okay, I'll tell him. He wants me to relay this story to you all. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I first contacted him, he was taking the quatrains that he had written for us back then in 1540, all about a possible World War III or Armageddon, and he was ripping them all up. And then he took out a blank piece of parchment he had these quill pens. It's amazing. They're the long feather, and he dips it into some ink, and he starts scribbling. And he looked at me, and he said, "What kind of world are you and your friends going to create? Because we are on a different timeline now." And I can explain that in a minute. We were on one timeline for World War III, Armageddon, and a lot of conflict up until, up until Fukushima in 3/11. It actually started earlier than that, but we started shifting from a timeline of World War III, Armageddon, and a lot of conflict to a new timeline where we were creating a beautiful new Earth much faster than what Nostradamus originally saw back in 1540. And I said, well, of course, we want to create a beautiful, bright planet that's loving, kind, and peaceful, and everyone lives in harmony. He said, well, you better get to it. You have a lot of work to do. So I said, okay. So anyway, about a year and a half later, 2 years later, I contacted him again. I actually was contacting him several times during that time, but I remember this one conversation I had with him. And instead of having a blank parchment, he had started writing quatrains about what was happening now in our time, in the near future, like 400 or 500 years from his time. But these were good quatrains about all the beautiful new things that people were living in harmony, that there had been an end of war, that cures cures are already there for cancer, for example, but from various political reasons they're not released, and business reasons they're not released, he said. But the thought of disease as we know it on this planet will be something in the past, because people will be living very long lives and will become a truly advanced civilization based upon peace and harmony. And so let me think if it has anything else. No, Nostradamus is saying that we hold the key to our future. If we want a beautiful, bright future, you have to not only do good things, but also think good things too, because your thoughts are very important. That's just really what Zora was saying. He's absolutely right that we have to think positive things if we want to create a positive future in reality. I'm going to let Nostradamus go now because he says thank you.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Busy.
Yes.
I'm always appreciative of his time. I don't like just to barge in.
Well.
Okay, I wish him well. We have actually we have two spirits waiting to say something briefly. Mahatma Gandhi came to me about 2 years ago, and the most important thing he wants to tell everyone today is that this is a famous quote: "Be the change you wish to see in the world." In other words, if you want to create a beautiful, peaceful planet, don't yell at your kids. Don't get angry with your coworkers, if you can help it. Don't yell at people. Be kind and gentle as best as you can to everyone, and meditate and realize that we all have the spark of the Supreme Being within us. So that if you do hurt somebody, you're hurting yourself, because we all interconnect as one. He said that through peaceful means, through nonviolent protest, he was able to kick out the British out of India. They had been there for a long time, 150 years in India, by the time that they achieved their independence in August of 1947. And he did that through nonviolent, total nonviolent means, through a lot of meditation. And remember, you have safety in numbers, too. If everyone's meditating for peace, that'll definitely have an effect, a positive effect on the planet. And also, he likes Jared Ryan, the fellow who does their prayer meditations. Yeah, he really likes him. He's doing wonderful work. And
we'll let him know. Thank you.
Yeah, let him know he's got Mahatma Gandhi likes his likes his work. Okay, he's stepping back now because there's other spirits. Thank you, Sir Gandhi. Thank you, Mr. Gandhi, for that. Benjamin Franklin's here. And, okay. All right, I'll tell him. The quote that he wants to give you is that, we gave you a republic if you can keep it. And he knows that you'll keep it. But he said this is in respect to our democracy or republic status. And he said that the United States was basically hijacked by the private banks back in about 100 years ago with the Federal Reserve, and which is not federal and it's not reserve. But the whole thing's been a scam, total scam, and the private banks have been issuing money in violation of Article 7 of the Constitution. He just asked me rhetorically, why do you think we put Article 7 in the Constitution? And I just said, well, because we wanted our government, the people of the United States, to issue our currency, not some private banks. And he said, exactly. And if you look at what happened with the creation of the Federal Reserve, it was a total scam. And they passed it during a Christmas recess. And senators had gone home, and Mr. Franklin doesn't really care much for Wilson. Didn't care for much of Wilson.
Yeah. Yes. Oh no. You probably household name.
You probably know that. One of them right at the back, Bill Gates. That's going to be one of them.
Yep.
There's quite a few more.